Hello there, young lovers. I'm trying to look like Valentine's Day. I just end up looking like Santa Claus. But anyway, this is a great time to be out and about, checking out the clubs, seeing some beautiful music today, tomorrow, next week. I'm going to tell you all about it in a minute. I'm a little bit tired right now. I've had a pretty wild time. Last night with the Tiki Collective at Lula Lounge, we had so much fun. But I'm paying for it this morning. In a little bit, Adi Braun is going to be joining me, and she is a wonderful singer, cabaret, opera, jazz, and she'll talk about her love of this music. She's performing at Jazz Bistro on Sunday night. Homesmith Bar, I'm going to get right into the clubs here, okay? Homesmith Bar, Old Mill, Toronto. Wendy Lands is there tonight with her trio. Beautiful girl, beautiful voice, singing a lot of original music and some standards. And in the main dining room, Thompson Egbo is performing piano. This is something they haven't done before. Romantic jazz piano playing while you have a nice fancy dinner. Okay, that bell means it's time to move on to Saturday at Old Mill, Toronto. See how I did that? Terry Clark, Don Thompson, Steve Wallace, three incredible musicians performing together. Terry Clark's band leader on this one, but they play together in all kinds of configurations. Old Mill Homesmith Bar, that's happening 7:30 to 10:30, no cover, $20 minimum. Kathleen Gorman is there on Thursday. She is lovely. She writes great music. She does really interesting arrangements of other stuff, and she's a friend of mine. I just love her playing. So Kathleen Gorman there on Thursday. Always cool stuff happening at Homesmith Bar. At Hughes Room Live, Craig Cardiff is there tonight. Canadian singer-songwriter, will melt your heart. Alfie Zappacosta on Saturday. He'll melt your heart. He usually has this soft, sweet, beautiful voice, but sometimes it's a little bit like that. Remember Overload from Dirty Dancing? That was Alfie Zappacosta, but he's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve, and you'll love him on Saturday. On Wednesday, the 19th, Bohemians in Brooklyn. This sounds really interesting. It's a cabaret, play, concert thing. Tom Allen will tell stories, or tell the story, and play some trombone. Laurie Gemmel on harp, and the singers, Bryce Kulak and Patricia O'Callaghan. So that just sounds brilliant. I don't know what to expect. I think I'm going to try to get down and see that one. And Thursday, on the 20th, David Essig and Jerry Ledger. So much happening at Hughes Room Live. Check it out, hughesroomlive.com for all their listings, and get some dinner reservations. Same thing with Lula Lounge. Might want to get some dinner reservations. If you're going down there tonight, you're going to see Payadora Tango Ensemble. They are so romantic. This is a four-piece band with accordion and violin and piano, and it just, the thing just, it's so sexy. Yanni Burrell is there later, and DJ Suave, so it's a lot about dancing, but if you want the quiet little dinner, get down there for 7 o'clock dinner and show at 7:30. You could be out of there by 9, but you probably would just want to stay, take some dance lessons, and hang out all night long. SWA Salsa Orchestra are there on Saturday. It really is all about dancing on that floor at Lula. And Story are there on Thursday. It's an album launch. Story, Storry. She is a singer-songwriter and looks pretty cool. I don't know what to expect, except that they're going to do the full album in one concert, and then they're going to hang out and play music and chat. And then on Friday, I know it's a week away, but I'm telling you ahead, you might want to go early a week Friday, because Son de Lula play, and I saw them last week, and oh my, your spirits will be lifted. It's an all-star trio. You probably know Mags from KK, Roberto Riveron, everybody. It's just a beautiful trio of great music for an early dinner. Go there from 7 to 9 at Lula a week Friday. June Garber and Stu Mack are at Jazz Bistro this Friday. I really should be dressed up for this because they are fancy. This dinner tonight, it's $125 per person. That is your dinner, your show, your champagne, a flower for the missus. Old-fashioned romance lives at Jazz Bistro. And on Saturday, June Garber and Stu Mack. This time, it's a $20 cover. Now, I'm still going to suggest you buy dinner there because it's really delicious. Try the The spaghettini, the spicy spaghettini with seafood. That's my personal favorite. Kevin Morris is there on Sunday. Here's another romantic. It's a perfect date night. He is a great singer, storyteller. It's a cabaret. Kevin Morris on Sunday. David Rubel is there every Wednesday with a jazz jam. I was there a couple weeks ago. Really cool people. It's nice to see famous jazz musicians all getting together just to make cool music, and then some young amateurs coming in, and they're good players, but nobody knows who they are. So it's a very interesting thing. It's a $10 cover for David Rubel's Jazz Jam, and then Colin Hunter and the Anthony Terpstra Orchestra are there on Thursday. I believe they even move the tables around a bit, so there's a bit of a dance floor, so that's cool. I want to thank my sponsors, barberfinancial.com. Thank you, Captain Paul. If you have a question, you should check out barberfinancial.com. Ask them any question you want about your finances. I bet you'll get some good answers. Patreon, thank you to all my friends from Patreon. That's kind of the lifeblood of this project. So thank you for donating, and thank you to my producer, Jason J. Brown. He does a great job. Now, Barbarian Steakhouse, yum yum, 7 Elm Street. I shot an interview there recently. It'll be airing in a week or two, but I love going down there. In fact, I have a meeting there tomorrow. What a delicious meeting. Thanks to all my sponsors. Now, let's get to Adi Braun right about now. Hello.
Hi.
Adi Braun. I have known of you for so many years because you started maybe relatively late, but kind of early when it comes to the Toronto cabaret and jazz scene. How many years have you been doing this?
Yeah, well, without giving away any age secrets, I would say that I've been doing it, about 20 years, almost 20 years. And there used to be a little bar on Church Street called Gatsby's. And Gatsby's had a talent night. And at that point, I was still singing classically, but I really wanted to migrate to jazz and pop and cabaret because it was my first love. And my wife said to me, come on, just enter, what can you possibly lose? And I had just sung a big aria a couple of weeks before with an orchestra and sang Miss Seeley's Blues at Gatsby's Ultimate Talent Show. And there was someone in the audience who hooked me up with Doug Riley, Terry Clark, and Steve Wallace to do a demo CD. And I didn't know how lucky I was then. But those were my beginnings.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Your first recording with Doug Riley. Wow.
Yes, and then we subsequently did another one together. So I really treasure those.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, you come from a long background. I mean, your dad was a very famous opera singer.
Yeah, my dad was an opera singer, Victor Braun. My mother was an opera singer as well, Aren Braun. And my brother is right now one of Canada's most beloved baritones, Russell Braun. And when I moonlight at the Canadian Opera Company as a German diction coach for opera singers, so I'm still involved in that a little bit. But
So
yeah.
tell me about the German. You're Canadian.
One thing, I should say that I have a major heavy metal brother, Torsten Braun. He's in his, he's younger than I am, I'll just say that. And he's just cutting his teeth now with a super cool gig, so
he's doing hard rock, heavy metal.
Totally.
That is bizarre. Well, you gotta have a black sheep. Not everyone can do opera.
Love my black sheep.
And also, I mean, heavy metal, that has some kind of operatic overtones in the vocals.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, and even when you think about Queen, hello, there's so many classical influences there, too. And Freddie Mercury, he did this big video with Montserrat Caballé, famous soprano, right? So I was just watching the Pavarotti documentary the other day. And, of course, there's a good amount spent with him planning the big concert with Bono, right? Mm-hmm. He really wanted to fuse and have people together on stage, and I think it's great.
Right. And even things like Iron Maiden and all these bands, they had heavy vocals, like you have to know how to sing.
And the drama's there, the operatic drama, right? The makeup, the tongue action.
Queensryche. There's a really operatic band.
For sure.
So how much time did you spend in Germany?
Well, I grew up there. I didn't move here until I was 18. So I was born here, but I spent the first 18 years of my life basically there, because my father was an opera singer there, so my high school's all from
And
Germany.
whereabouts?
Munich, but then later mostly in Cologne. It's a pretty happening city.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then Toronto, you came here and you weren't doing music at first, right?
No, I was. I went to the Conservatory of Music and then the Faculty of Music, and I got my degree, and then I started to perform for many years as a classical recitalist and performer. But I started teaching fairly early on too, and then there were a couple of friends who said, well, if you're teaching jazz and coaching me in cabaret and I hear you singing, how come you're not doing this yourself? And I went, oh, concept.
Yeah.
And then a dear friend who's an opera singer said to me, I want to listen to you singing some opera and then some pop tunes. And I had some Barbara Streisand and whatever. And she just simply said, you sound great in both, but I believe you more in jazz cabaret. And that was a really important moment for me. Because you have to think about your audience. Where do you feel most natural in communicating, right? If you're not natural, how's the audience supposed to enjoy themselves? So.
Right. And who do you want to sing for? Who are your people?
Right.
Well, if they are classical meets jazz, that sounds like cabaret.
Cabarets is what my wife's nephew calls it. I think it's
Cabarets?
Cabarets. I think it's quite clever.
Yeah, it's not bad. Cabarets.
Yeah.
You made several recordings, right? I mean, you started, Delicious is the first one that
Yeah,
you had at
Delicious
Jazz
was
FM.
with Doug Riley. And then right after that, well, a couple of years after that was The Rules of the Game, also with Doug Riley and so forth. Steve Wallace, Terry Clark, and Harry White, and Tony Quarrington. And then I did...
Then you did a live record.
Live at the
in New York.
Metropolitan, yeah. Not the Metropolitan Opera, folks. The smaller room called the Metropolitan, but you've been there.
Yep.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And that was an accidentally recorded CD, just archivally, and I liked it a lot. And people really gravitate to the live recording because they say, wow, you really do actually sound like that, right?
Right.
Studio recordings are a whole other thing. Then I did a 5-song EP which featured several of my own.
Right, you started singer-songwriter.
Yeah, a little bit more in the poppy vein. And then my last one is called Moderne Frau, Modern Woman, and it's a tribute to the 1920s Berlin cabaret scene. And we treated a lot of cabaret songs with in a jazz vein, so it's really fluctuates in that.
That's my favorite of your records, and it's good that it's the last one.
Well, but it won't be the last one forever, right?
No,
Yeah.
no. In fact, you have a show coming up at Jazz Bistro that has a pretty cool theme. Tell us about your theme coming up.
Right, I hope I can get my tongue around it. We were having a little bit of fun with the slogan of Bed, Bath, and Beyond, and came up with Braun, Blonde, and Beyond. Because I have to say that my two favorite blonde girl singers, because they were jazz, pop, cabarets, whatever, are Doris Day and Rosemary Clooney. With Peggy, of course, not far behind. But then I thought, I've done a Doris Day show, Beyond. I love the music of Shirley Eichhardt. And she's a friend, and I love her. I love her voice. I think she has a stunning voice, and I love her music. So I thought I would pay tribute not only to my favorite blondes, but also to my favorite Canadian brunette.
Oh, and that's the
That's
Beyond.
Shirley Eichhardt. Yes,
I get it.
that's Beyond, and maybe there'll be some Julie London in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. I noticed one of the songs that you do, Shangri-La. Is that the version, like Wayne Newton? Is that the famous
It's
song?
not. No, I think you're.
No.
It's Shanghai.
Oh, Shanghai.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a fantastic swing tune that Doris Day sang in the movie. Is it High Seas or something like that?
Right.
Right. And it's
I think if people
never
don't know
sung.
Doris Day from that time era, they have to, because I grew up with her on TV.
Yeah.
But that when in the little black dress singing cabaret tunes, she was amazing.
In that movie, she sings that with an amazing band on a boat. And it was a very difficult song. You cannot find the sheet music, so I actually had to listen to the clip and write it down, and listen to the clip and write it down. It's a fantastic song.
Amazing. Who are you working with these days?
Well, my three favorite musketeers are Tom King on piano, Pat Collins on bass, and Daniel Barnes. And sometimes for the cabaret record, we pulled in Tony Quarrington, who was brilliant.
Right.
And
Great with arranging too, right? And all the
Well,
voicings.
he wrote a song for me that I will be singing at the cabaret. At the Jazz Bistro. It's called Cheeky Little Swing Tunes, so your listeners and viewers can look forward to that. And yeah.
You do really well over there. And I think one thing you do in Toronto is you don't overplay. Like Emily Claire Barlow or Barbara Lika, you kind of pick and choose how often you want to perform in this area.
Yeah, I usually think twice a year is pretty good, twice to 3 times, because I perform outside as well. And also, I like to hone my craft and polish material and look at new material so that I have a few show concepts going. I'll be doing my show Noir next year in a beautiful theater in Hamilton at McMaster. And Noir is the music of film noir. And it has some pretty racy tunes in there, but we're also working some little dialogue with my pianist and myself. You know, the bitchy banter that the he and she have in noir movies, right?
Which they do at all
They
times.
do.
What is one of the challenges as a performer when you don't want to perform too much? What are some of the challenges? Like, you have to go through reminding people that you're back again, for example, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question, because the challenge, of course, is that no one can really make a living as a jazz vocalist alone, right? So I have other professions. I have a voice studio, and I've had it for years. I do private German coaching, sloppy diction, Adi, for opera singers. But beyond that, you have to be social media savvy, but I think there's a fine line between being savvy and annoying. I think I've treaded that once or twice. You know, I'm sure you know that too, because you want people to remember you, but remember you fondly, and not go, oh my God, there she is again, delete.
Yeah. Yep.
So piquing people's interest, I do. I play the jazz piano moderately well, but I like to do little tidbits myself, where I call them teasers. So, you know, maybe a month or two before a show, I'll say, you'll be hearing this and that, and I'll sing maybe 30 seconds of 2 tunes. You know, just to pique people's interest.
Right. What would be some advice you'd give to young singers?
In what?
They want to be in this business. Yeah, they want to be in this business.
I've heard this many times, and it's really true. You have to love what you do, and you have to love it to the point where you don't think, I'm going to make money, I'm going to be famous, I'll have a lot of gigs. You have to have an inner creative fire that burns in you, that makes you want to explore different things. I'm very lucky that my pianist is very fluid in classical music as well, so sometimes we do a little off the beaten track, you know, avant-garde little tidbits here and there. Be fluid, be open, learn your craft, really learn as much as you can about singing and the history of your craft and beyond that. But do it because you love it, you know. Yeah, love it, loving it beyond the gratification of other people loving it. Of course, it's nice, it's lovely to entertain and to make people feel good, but you have to really respect the music that you're presenting.
That's great. Some people seem to want instant gratification these days, and you got to pay your dues if you're going to be as good as the people that
Well, it's funny when I teach young vocalists and they have amazing chops coming in there, and we'll do something like Old Black Magic, and I'm playing at the piano, and all of a sudden they're all over the map and you can't recognize the piece at all right away, and they get lost. And then I say, well, okay, so how did you learn the song? Well, I just was on YouTube. And so my advice would be, if you really love the standards, learn the notes as they're written first, because you really have to have that as a grounding thread, and then do whatever you want around it. But always thinking, what was the original intent? Now let me go around it. But the audience should never, I think, feel that it's so far out that you think, wow, is that the same Old Black Magic that Johnny Mercer and Harold Arlen wrote?
Right.
You know, like
give them something to hang on to.
Be experimental, but remember the root. I think remember the root is a good one too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now
you've done many shows at Jazz Bistro. I assume your piano player is happy because they get to play the Steinway.
Oh yes, for sure. And I should also say that my wife, Linda Ippolito, is a fantastic concert pianist and a lawyer, and she has played there as well. So I think she's been the only classical pianist who's played there, and she loves playing the piano as well. And I think it's so nice to, at that bistro, which has a cabaret-like vibe, to hear something else as well. But Tom is definitely happy with that red beast.
Well, Sunday is our cabaret nights, or at least tribute nights, where you really know what you're going to go see.
Right.
So it's been nice to build a bit of a crowd in there. That was Sybil Walker who did that, kind of brought in and built in a crowd. So we're continuing that way.
Oh, can't wait for what Jaymz B is going to bring to the club. People, hang on to your seats. Who knows?
Yeah. Good luck. I can't wait to see you. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you so much, Jaymz.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adi Braun. You are lovely, and if you want to see Adi Braun, check her out Sunday at Jazz Bistro. My name is Jaymz B. Join me next week. It's going to be Friday, and I'm going to be talking to somebody else on the Jaymz B podcast. See ya.